Join us right now. We've got former Speaker of the House, Fox News contributor, and the author of Trump's America, Newt Gingrich. Mr. Speaker, good morning to you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
It's good to have you. Hey, it sounds as if the Republicans in the House Judiciary Committee have gone ahead and they have subpoenaed James Comey, also former Attorney General Lynch. Mr. Comey says he doesn't want it behind closed doors. He wants it in public so people can hear. Yesterday, Trey Gowdy suggested, you know what, maybe we tape it behind closed doors, and then if there's any secret stuff, we release, take that out and then release the tape. What do you think about all this?
Well, I think the question is what they're going to get into. It doesn't help you much if Comey says, I'd like to appear in public, and then as soon as he's in public, he says, well, I can't discuss this because it's classified. I can't discuss that. So I think it partly is a question of what the topics are going to be. As a general rule, I think it's always better to have the American people involved, and I think the more they can learn, the more capable they are of rendering judgment. So it's a question of what issues are coming up. And again, you always have this question, if they tape it, then release it, unless they release all of it, people are going to start saying, well, did you rig it? Did you slant it? I think that Comey has a point if he's willing to answer all the questions.
What happens next? What do you see going forward?
Well, I don't know what happens next. I think the Senate Republicans continue to approve judges and approve ambassadors and other appointments. I hope that they're going to pass the bill for criminal justice reform, which came out of the House with an overwhelming majority. There's no reason for it to be blocked in the Senate. It has a bipartisan majority. I certainly hope they're going to schedule that in the very near future and make sure it gets through. And then I think there's going to be a big fight over the border and a big fight over what's going on. But the tragic story that you just had is a good example of why people feel we have to be able to control the border and why we have to be able to control who's in the United States. I think the president's right to say he's going to get control of our border. It's part of being a nation, and it's part of our national security.
Mr. Speaker, another aspect of being in the majority, as you know better than any of us here, is you get to set the rules. And a Washington Post headline caught our eye. It said, Democrats' Senate losses jeopardize national spotlight for possible 2020 hopeful. Kamala Harris is on the Judiciary Committee. Currently, it's a 21-member committee. But I didn't even know this. I mean, you can reduce or grow the size of committees. They're talking about shrinking the size of the Judiciary Committee. She would be then, as the junior member, no longer on the committee. Talk to us about why they're doing that and what that might mean.
Well, I don't know why they're doing it. When I became Speaker, we reduced the size of a number of committees. And I think that, it's either side, the majority, the Democrats now in the House, the Republicans in the Senate, they can set the terms of the size of the committees they want. I don't think it relates to her behavior on the committee, although, frankly, I suspect Senator Grassley wouldn't mind her finding a new job. But, again, the Democrats, of course, could always change things. Senator Schumer could convince one of the older, more senior Democrats to give up his slot to keep her on there. But I think what she'll discover is that, well, she's very important to herself and she's very important in California. She may not be that important to the Senate Democrats.
Interesting.
Yeah. Mr. Speaker, let's keep it up on Capitol Hill for just a second. You know, as we look at the lead story regarding the clash yesterday on our southern border at the San Ysidro port, you know, so many people are looking in, they're just frustrated. Why can't Congress do something? You know, the laws have been screwed up for so long. Why don't they just do something? Because those images are heartbreaking, but at the same time, you got to stand up for the rule of law.
Well, you have to ask yourself, look, I think they should do something. I voted in 1986 for the Simpson-Mazzoli Act, which included getting control of the border, included creating a green card or a work permit system. And I was with President Reagan in trying to get those things done. The Congress then failed to act. And there's been a very weird coalition of some conservative businesses who want cheap labor and a number of ideological left-wingers who don't believe in borders and who want an open border. But I just want to remind you, and I'm doing a column today at foxnews.com on this, this war on the border is real. And what people are trying to do is a psychological war, very often guided, by the way, by American leftists who are activists and American left-wing organizations who are helping finance it. And their goal is to find some way to embarrass the U.S. government so we can't even control our own border. And we have to be prepared to stand up to that and to do whatever is necessary. I mean, you're either going to have a country and have a border, or you're not going to have a country. But there are at least 100 million people who would come to the U.S. if they thought they could just, you know, by embarrassing us, they could break the law and come into the U.S. So I think this is a very serious moment. I think President Trump's doing the right thing. And I think it's sad. I'll bet you that the elite media spends a lot more time today on what's happening on the border than they're going to spend on the death of a young American who was killed by an illegal immigrant.
Well, that's a fact. You're spot on there, Mr. Speaker. We appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you.